Salvete omnes. This is Abbey Latin Liber Primus, Chapter 15. This is the English exercise for Chapter 15 with a focus on the genitive case, revisited. In Chapter 5, we learned the use of the genitive case, possession, the genitive of possession, which indicates the possessor or the owner of another noun. And we had the example, ad poetae villam ambulant. They are walking to where? Towards the farmhouse of the poet, to the poet's farmhouse, where the genitive poetae shows the possessor, the owner of the farmhouse. The farmhouse's owner is the poet. We could say in English, to the poets with an apostrophe s showing possession, farmhouse, or we could say to the farmhouse of the poet and use the prepositional phrase of plus the noun to show the possessor. Now we add the objective genitive to our list of genitive reasons, genitive uses. The objective genitive looks very similar to the genitive of possession, and context is key. Context is key. Text without context is just pretext. You need context. Luckily, it's used the exact same way as it is in English. You just got to be careful, just like in English, right? So sometimes the relationship between nouns is not that of possession or ownership, like the genitive of possession. Sometimes some nouns indicate an action, such as the noun fear. Fear is a thing. But what we're saying is it's the act of fearing, the act of being afraid. That's what fear is, the noun fear. The thing fear, what is it? It's the act of fearing, the act of being afraid, the act of something. See the of? Love is the act of loving, the noun love, the act of loving. So there's an action here, the action of loving, but that's a noun. An action is a noun. But it's also kind of a verb because verbs show actions. There are noun forms of verb, like to love, amo, amare, amavi, amatus, to love. The noun form would just be love, the act of loving, the act of amo, amare, amavi, amatus. What is that thing? Well, it's amor, amoris, masculine. We know the verb timeo, timere, timui, to be afraid. The noun form of that would be timor, fear, the act of being timeo, timere, timui. It's a noun. Now the objects of these nouns, because they kind of show actions. The noun fear is the act of being afraid. The noun love is the act of loving. Now the objects of these actions, which are nouns, are in the genitive case, not the nominative. They're in the genitive case, just like in English. I find the best way is to show to learn this is to show the difference between the genitive of possession and the objective genitive. So let's start with what we know, the genitive of possession. Timor magistri. Timor magistri. Timor is the noun fear. Magistri, that's the genitive of magister, magistri, masculine, teacher. So the fear of the teacher, as in the teacher is owning or possessing the fear. We could also translate as the teacher's apostrophe s fear. The fear of the teacher, the fear belonging to the teacher, the fear the teacher feels, the fear the teacher has. Timor magistri. Now let's look at timor magistri, the exact same thing? Yes, the exact same thing, because context is key. This could also be translated with the appropriate context as the fear of the teacher. Well, that sounds exactly the same as the genitive of possession, the fear of the teacher. But it's the fear, not that the fear the teacher possesses or owns or feels or has. This is the fear that someone else has towards the teacher. I have a great fear of that teacher. I have a great fear of that teacher. You own the teacher's fear? No, I possess the fear and I have it towards that teacher, where the teacher is the object. That's why it's called objective. The teacher is the object of the fear. It's an object in the genitive. The teacher is the object of the fear towards the teacher, the fear for the teacher. I have a fear, and it's for a teacher. It's towards a teacher. Let's look at amor Dei, love of God. The genitive of possession would be God's love, as in the love that God possesses, the love that God owns or feels or has. The love belongs to God. As opposed to amor Dei, that's the exact same thing. That could be the love for God, the love towards God, where God, Dei in the genitive, is the object of the love, hence the term objective genitive. Context is key. Another way to identify the difference is you can think of it like this. The genitive of possession. So if we have a phrase like post fugam Pompeii, after the flight of Pompey, this pretty much equals after Pompey fled. Pompey, it's his flight. He's doing it. He's doing the action. It's his flight. It belongs to him. We can translate this genitive of possession using the apostrophe S. After Pompey's flight, after the flight of Pompey. An objective genitive example would be propter timorem mortis. On account of the fear of death, on account of his fear of death, it's not on account of death's fear. We can't translate it that way. We can't do the apostrophe S thing on the objective genitive. On account of death's fear, unless it really is on account of the fear belonging to death. Death feels fear. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how, on account of someone's fear, the fear that someone has towards death, because he feared death. Once again, context is key. Those alternate genitive forms for nos and vos, nosri and vesri, these are the objective genitive forms of nos, that is nosri, and of vos, that is vesri. Whereas the partitive genitive, another reason of the genitive, indicates the whole or group of which something is a part. And those other forms, nosrum for nos and vesrum for vos, those are the partitive genitive forms, whereas nosri and vestri are the objective genitive forms. That's why we have two different forms for the genitives of nos and vos. The partitive genitive is pretty easy. Think of pizza or pie. Pizza pie. I want 3 slices of pizza. Out of the whole pizza pie, out of the whole group of pizza, the whole pie, I want 3 slices of that pie, out of that pie. I don't want the whole pie. I want part of it, partitive, part of that pie. Even in English we use of. Pick 3 marbles out of that pile of marbles. There's a pile of marbles. I don't want the whole pile of marbles. I don't want omnes, all of the marbles. I just want you to pick 3 out of that pile. Part of the whole, partitive. Tres puerorum, 3 of the boys. Unus nostrum, 1 of us, meaning 1 out of us. There's a whole group of us, and 1 of us is going to do something. Pars urbis, part of the city, not the whole city, but pars partis feminine, part of it. Keep in mind, nota bene, note well, that the partitive in Latin is more often indicated by the use of a preposition like de or ex plus the ablative of separation if you're working with numerals and adjectives of quantity, like multosaon is an adjective denoting quantity, number. So tres e pueris is actually more usual and regular than tres puerorum. And that doesn't mean you won't see tres puerorum, but if we have a numeral or an adjective denoting quantity, Latin prefers to use the prepositions de or ex plus the ablative of separation. 3 out of the boys, which we can just translate as 3 of the boys. Unus de nobis, 1 of us, 1 out of us. Multae e puellis, many out of the girls. Let's practice. Correctly identify any genitives of possession, any objective genitives, or partitive genitives in the following English sentences by writing the phrase in the correct box, and the first has been done for you. Number 1, Sententia prima. I can't see 3 of the boys. I am the subject. I cannot see. I am unable to see 3. 3 is the direct object. It's 3 out of the boys. 3 of the boys. So 3 would be the direct object, tres, and of the boys is a partitive genitive. There's a whole group of boys, and we just want 3 out of them. 2, secunda. Where is the girls' homework? Where is it? Where is the girls, apostrophe S, girls' homework? The homework belonging to the girl, the homework of the girl owns the homework. It's not the homework towards the girl. It's genitive of possession. So we write girls with an apostrophe S. Sententia tertia. Third sentence. His brother's friend has an extreme fear of balloons, which is a thing. His brother's friend. Brothers, it's the friend belonging to the brother. His brother's friend. Brother owns the friend. So genitive of possession, brothers, with the apostrophe S. He has an extreme fear. This is the direct object, a fear. It's modified by the adjective extreme fear of balloons. The balloons are not possessing the fear. The balloons are not afraid. The brother owns an extreme fear. But the fear does not belong to the balloons. It's not the balloons' fear. It's his fear he owns towards balloons. The balloons are the object of his fear. Of balloons is an objective genitive. Sententia quarta, the fourth sentence. 2 of the men denounced the strategy of war. So we have 2 out of the whole group of men. Out of this whole group of men, 2 of them did this, the subject 2. So of the men would be a partitive genitive, of the men. They denounced the strategy of the war. It's not really the war's strategy. War doesn't own the strategy. It's the strategy towards the war. It's the strategy for the war. So objective genitive of the war. The war is the object of the strategy. Sententia quinta. Only one of the students has completed the teacher's assignment. Oh no. Only one out of the whole group of students. Only one, that small part, one, so partitive genitive of the students, has completed the teacher's assignment, the assignment of the teacher. The assignment belongs to the teacher. Teacher owns the assignment. So genitive of possession, teachers, with the apostrophe S. Sexta, sententia sexta, the sixth sentence. She wants to see 4 of the students in the teacher's office. She is the subject. She wants to see 4. 4 is the direct object. 4 of what? 4 out of the students. So out of the students, we're going to put, instead of the boys, of the students. Of the students as the partitive genitive here. And in the teacher's office, teachers with the apostrophe S, genitive of possession because the teacher owns the office. Genitive possession, teacher with the apostrophe S. Sententia septima. He says he has a mighty craving for nachos. He has a mighty craving of nachos. I have a craving of nachos. I have a craving for nachos. He says he owns a craving which is mighty, and it is for nachos. Nachos, for nachos, the objective genitive. The craving is of nachos. The craving is for it. The nachos are the object of the craving. Sententia octava, eighth sentence. My sister's friend wants 3 slices of pizza. Good for her. So the friend is the one that wants the 3 slices of pizza, not the sister. It's just the sister owns the friend. It sounds terrible. Sister's friend, the friend of the sister, so genitive of possession. sisters, apostrophe S. Once the direct object 3 slices, where 3 is an adjective modifying slices, slices is the noun, direct object, and it slices of pizza, of the whole group, pizza, partive genitive of pizza. Sententia nona, the 9th sentence. I can't believe only a few of you read the poet's book. I just can't believe it. Subject, I can't, I am unable to believe that only a few of you, only a few. So few, that'd be the subject of this indirect statement, that you read. Of you, a few out of you, out of the whole group of you, only a few of you did. Partive genitive, of you. And you read the poet's book, the book of the poet, the book belonging to the poet. The poet owns the book. So genitive of possession, poets, with the apostrophe S. And decima, sententia decima. Many of the critics had great admiration for that book. So many of the critics had great admiration of that book. Many of the critics. So many, there's your subject, out of the whole group of critics, partive genitive of the critics. They had, they owned, they possessed great admiration, here's a noun, but it's not the book's admiration. The critics didn't own the admiration belonging to the book. The book doesn't own much, maybe covers and pages, but it's the critics that own the admiration, and the admiration was for the book, as in the book was the object, objective genitive, of their admiration. So objective genitive for that book. Optime, very well done. You have now completed the English exercise, and you are ready to move on to exercise B of chapter 15. Vale te omnes.